Hi friends, my name is Kaylee and you're watching the Youth Code Jam Cyber Ethics activity video. Today's video is going to be a little shorter since we can't really do discussion over the video, but I'm going to go through some of the content with you guys today, and maybe you can talk about the stuff in this video with your parents, family, or friends. So yeah, the activity is pretty discussion based. So you can think about these things on your own, or you can rope in and have a cool conversation with somebody that you know. So today we're going to be talking about cyber ethics. Cyber ethics refers to the code of responsible behavior on the internet. So what you should and shouldn't do relating to computers and the internet, according to the Center for Internet Security at least. Ethics in general looks at right and wrong behavior. Maybe you've heard about that before. So we'll be looking at right and wrong behavior on the internet. And a lot of times, right and wrong behavior, people have different ideas about what's right and what's wrong, especially when it comes to the internet, this huge place where there are lots of things going on. And so that's why we're discussing it today, is to not necessarily come to anything concrete necessarily, or to force people to think the way that we think, but just to throw some ideas out there and to gain some new perspectives maybe on right and wrong behavior on the internet. And so if you are having this discussion with somebody that you know, it might be good to set up some guidelines for your discussion. And some examples of, I think, what are good discussion guidelines are maybe like promising not to talk over one another or interrupt each other, listening to people's ideas and not criticizing them, but also being okay with other people disagreeing with you and sharing their ideas too. Things like that will just make it a lot easier to talk about these things in a really productive way. So during this discussion, we're going to look at a few case studies and talk about whether we think something is right or wrong and why we think that is. So here's the first case study that I had in mind. Norma writes a computer code that can steal money from other people. Dina comes along and uses Norma's code to actually steal money from other people without Norma knowing. And so with your group of people, you might think about who was wrong? Was anyone wrong in this scenario? Was Norma wrong to write this code? Or was it just Dina who was wrong because she used the code? And maybe Norma wasn't wrong because she didn't use the code, she just wrote it. So whatever you think, feel free to talk about that. You can pause the video if you like. And once you've discussed that, there's some other bullets to maybe think about too. What if Norma wrote the code for fun, but never meant to steal from other people? Would she still be wrong in writing code that could steal from other people? What if instead of code that steals, Norma wrote code that counts money? And what if Dina uses that code to steal money from other people? Then are they both wrong, or just Norma or just Dina? Here's another case study. Oscar is a coder who often stays late at his job to finish work. Sometimes he's the only one in the office after everyone goes home, and when this happens, he sometimes uses the work computer to make his own programs for fun. Do you think that Oscar is doing something wrong by using his work computer for fun stuff? Why or why not? Would it be ethical if everyone used their work computers for fun stuff? And in these examples, especially like this one where maybe you don't have a job, but maybe you've used school computers for things, you can think of something similar. It's great to draw on your own experiences and or things that have happened to other people around you and thinking about, did that seem wrong when the other person did it? And why was that? The purpose of these discussions is to really get at some ideas of like right and wrong behavior and what makes that behavior right or wrong. Here's our third case study. Nady works at a hospital and can see patients' personal information on her computer. Her friend asks about a specific patient, and Nady shares that person's personal information. Was that wrong of Nady to do, or do you think that was okay, and why? What if the friend was that patient's doctor? So the patient's doctor was the one asking for the patient's information. Would it still be wrong for Nady to share that? Why or why not? What if that friend was the patient's mom? So the patient's mom asked for the patient's information. Would it still have been wrong to share that with the patient's mom? Why or why not? What if the information was about a medical condition that the patient didn't want anyone to know about? Would it have been wrong to share the information then? Here's our last case study for today. Abbas is using a school computer to do his homework and has no other technology. His principal suspects him of cheating on an assignment and locks his account to make sure he cannot use the computer. Because of this, he's unable to complete his homework on the computer and gets a 0. Was that wrong of the principal to do? To lock his account when he was accused of cheating and making Abbas unable to do his homework because of it? Does that seem okay, or does that seem wrong? Why do you think that is? What if Abbas really did cheat? Would it have been okay then for the principal to lock his computer? What if there was no reason and the principal just locked him out because he wanted to? Would that have been fair? Would that have been right or wrong? Why do you think that is? What if the principal locked everyone out of their computers and Abbas is just one of those students who got locked out and couldn't complete his homework? Would it have been right or wrong then? And why do you think that is? Well, those are all the case studies that I have for you guys today. You can think through some of those, or if you can think of your own ethical dilemma, something that really bothers people that maybe some people think isn't fair and other people think is fair. And maybe you can talk about why that is and see where the other person is coming from. So I hope that you've enjoyed these case studies and that some good discussions and some good learning comes out of this. And I hope that you have a great rest of your day.